so it's the first live golfer to win a major. How do we use this information to bet it going forward? Because the field is obviously massive in these majors, but I don't know how well, like, the form that these live golfers are playing on a week-to-week basis. We can't see what they're doing. They're not televising live in like any real discernible way. Like, it's difficult to sort of compare like a situation where you got different amount of rounds, you got no cut. So how do we know whether Brooks is playing well? Do we just bet these live guys in every major now just cuz?
Well, you can follow along with the tournament. Luckily for us, I don't know if you guys heard, I even heard it on the Junkies this morning when I was listening on my Odyssey app, best app, only next to BetQL. Live Golf is coming to Washington, D.C. I think we talked about right now. We get the full week off. We go Thursday through Sunday. We hang out with Brooksy. We hang out with Bryson. I'll play some poker with Phil. Won't let him borrow any money. But, here's the thing. They televised. Nobody cared. They didn't get any ratings. And so, like, nobody cares. Nobody, like, cares about the product. I mean, you could follow along. See, that's how I should have known. I mean, Brooks has been playing really well, obviously. But I guess, like, you'll have to follow. But also, like, how much do you really want to take away from it? Because Phil, before he went to the Masters and finished second, he finished dead last in, like, 3 or 4 live events. Like, that's why I faded Phil. He looked terrible. Like, he just took the bag and was ready for the retirement.
It might be worth just live betting them after a round or two. Like, kind of see how they're performing, and then you may not get – the odds may not be as good, but, like, I bet Bryson to win – he was at like 21-1, I think, at one point, halfway through the tournament. And that's sometimes the best way to do it, because otherwise you would have never put your money towards somebody like that. But maybe that really is what it is. We're not going to see what they're doing on the Live Tour unless we actually go there, like you're campaigning for, Ryan. And then you just actually watch the tournament, get yourself a day or two of the rounds, and then you start to decide where you want to put your money if it's on somebody like that.
Well, what was fascinating was that I think I had taken – it was – Scotty Scheffler to lead after round 1, and it looked like that was going to hit, and then Bryson jumped up, and then all of a sudden I looked and I'm like, Brooks is in the mix too? What is going on?
I mean, just the joy on her face is so cool, considering, what she's been through over the last year. You can just see, even, and she's a competitor, and you saw last night she kind of got ticked off for a minute when they weren't playing well. But still, I feel like, she's certainly got a perspective right now, and so she's kind of just soaking it up, and just to see her smile, and she's got, anybody who's ever talked to her knows that she's got like such a great kind of personality. So it's kind of cool to kind of see her back. Well, it's very cool to see her back, enjoying herself. I heard a story the other day when she was scrimmaging. She put on her full uniform just because she wanted to be back in uniform. The other night, she photobombed like 2-3 different groups of people that were that were kind of taking a picture on the court. So it's nice to see, just a smile on her face. And their coach said, Vanessa said, there was no joy with that team last year. How could you have fun playing basketball when you know your sister is locked up in a Russian prison? And so it's nice to see all of them just kind of being able to like have smiles and enjoy this again. We'll see how they kind of come across. And she's playing well. That was nobody knew what she would look like there. Also, that's a long time of basically no athletic activity for her. She's a fine-tuned athlete, and for the last year, she didn't get the sustenance that she needed. She didn't get to work out like she normally would. All those kind of things. So it's nice to see that she's kind of been able to pick up pretty well and play well and really just kind of enjoy the team and be embraced by everybody. It's just really nice to see, considering how scary this last year had been.
Yeah, they are. I certainly think they could. I think, Denver does not overwhelm you with depth. They've basically got their 8 guys that they're going to play, and they're going to run with those 8 guys. So, for Miami, they kind of know who their 8 guys are. And if they could get Tyler Hero back, I mean, it's really looking like we're 10 days out from the finals. So whether these series wrap up in 4 games, they wrap up in 5 games, or even a miracle of a 6th game or something like that, it's still we're still 10 days out or so, or I guess even more than that, or I guess 10 days exactly from Tyler Hero maybe being back and ready, and we'll see. I don't know that he'll play or not, and I don't know how much you'd be able to give him, but even if he could give them 10 minutes a night off the bench, like that's just a little bit of extra depth there for Miami to kind of match up with. When you start looking across the board too, they match up really well with this Denver team. They're going to be able to throw some different looks at Nikola Jokic, and you don't really stop him, but make him work. They're going to play a lot of zone, I think, in this series, which is going to really test Denver's patience and their ability to move through the zone, and they're going to have to make shots. That's going to be a big thing for the Nuggets. Every once in a while, their shooting will go, and when it goes, it tends to be pretty bad for them. So, I think we're headed for, a really fun and interesting finals, and I do think Miami has a real chance to win it. Yeah, I mean, so far all you're hearing is support, from the players. Still have his back. The ownership, isn't really saying too much yet. They generally don't. They usually will let, was Danny Ainge for a number of years, and now they'll let Brad Stevens kind of handle that. My big thing is I just knowing the Celtics ownership group and the fact that it took years and several, roster dumps of useful players that could have helped them in playoff runs of trying to avoid the luxury tax for them to get to this point. And I think people are forgetting, so now you've got a very, very expensive roster with some open-ended questions that could make it even more expensive, around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown potential extensions. Then you've got Mazzulla was given likely a 3-year contract is what we heard, but that sounds like that was 3 years after this year, which would align with what most coach contracts are. And then you have on top of all of that, you have Brad Stevens, who as a front office executive is still pulling down a coach's salary. And it was reported he was getting paid pretty well as a coach. So now you're getting kind of expensive across the board. And even if Mazzulla is not one of the most expensive coaches, which I doubt he is, that's still multiple years of guaranteed money. And I struggle to see this ownership group green lighting saying, hey, all right, let's pay him to not coach us. Because I don't know that he's going to immediately land another job. And, there's generally offset language in there. If you land another job as a head coach, you're kind of free and clear of paying out the contract. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know how that would work for him specifically with an assistant job. But it is getting louder of, hey, this screams maybe one of those, we can't change all of the players, so, we need to change the coach. But I'm not going to say Joe Mazzulla's done a wonderful job, because he certainly hasn't. He's made some mistakes, but he is a first-year coach. But these players have made these same continuous mistakes under 3 coaches. They did it under Brad Stevens, they did it under Ime Udoka, now they're doing it under Joe Mazzulla. I'm not sure that the coach is the only place to point fingers here.
And I think the Heat are going to match up really well with the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets don't really have to go deep. They only go 8 deep. Jokic has been great. And I think that if anybody could figure out how to stop Jamal Murray, it'll be Eric Spoelstra, and we know how tough defensively Miami is. If Miami shoots the way that they have here in the playoffs, if they're making 35% of their threes, any night somebody else could go off. It could be a role player. It could be Jimmy Butler. And Bam Adebayo, I mean, I know we're talking about Jokic and Embiid, when we talk about the big men and Giannis. Bam has proven how great he is here in the playoffs. He doesn't have to go out there and give you 25 points and 20 boards. He can, though, when he wants to, when he needs to. But he's a facilitator. He really runs that offense. Miami scares me. I think that series goes 6, maybe even 7, and I could see Miami winning it. So I don't think that one will be a sweep.
Trista, fear factor for you? Nuggets sweep the Heat.
No, I think Jimmy Butler's just that guy. I think Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and Eric Spoelstra, all 3 of those guys. And then you have the role players who are, shooting as well as they have last year when they were one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. We keep saying to ourselves, like, how long can the Heat keep this up? And I think it's indefinitely. They were the number 1 seed last year for a reason. They were one of the best 3-point shooting teams last year for a reason. I think they're better without Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. Like, this is a team that's going to match up really well with Denver because they have size, they have athleticism, they have a bunch of role players who can play different types of positions. And listen, like, it's not like the Nuggets are this like really tough defensive team. They're going to be able to go toe to toe with them offensively, and I think they have a little bit better defense. I think the Nuggets will still win, but I would not be shocked if Miami won it all. Hence the reason, like yesterday, I took them plus 450 to win it all just because of the price.
You know, the Nuggets are the more talented team, but the Heat have beaten more talented teams the entire playoffs. I mean, everybody they've played has been has had, at least on paper, more talent than them. But that Heat culture that we love to talk about, and Eric Spoelstra and that coaching gives them an advantage. It would be stupid to count the Heat out, and it would be stupid to think that the Nuggets are just going to roll them over in the playoffs, in the finals, and make it easy. You got a better coaching situation with Mike Malone than you do, obviously, Joe Mazzulla in Boston. But the difference here is it's not like Mike Malone's been in the finals before with this Nuggets team. Eric Spoelstra's got a lot of experience. I like the Nuggets in that series. That's at least 6, maybe 7 games, though, which would be a nice treat because, my God, these conference finals have been a joke. So hopefully we have a good NBA finals that's actually worth watching for a change.